All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. I apologize for the delay and trying to figure out Facebook. It is what it is. And hopefully we'll go live at some point soon. So today we're doing money healings. I am so excited for you all to be on. And we do have a couple people that, so Allison and Joel put their hands up first to be in line. So we're going to do them first. And then after that, you all kind of came in. So we'll try to do as many as we can before I have to hop off tonight. So a couple things about the way this works. I know that this is totally a safe space, so there's no judgment on what you're struggling with or where you're feeling stuck in your world. I do work with things like angels, ancestors, past lives, and all things woo-woo. So if that's not your thing, like you don't want to talk about past lives, or you just let me know that, and we don't have to necessarily go in that direction at all. I do ask sometimes for you to muscle test. So what that means is that you stand up and you're going to watch a couple people do it, so you'll know, and you kind of sense whether your body's going forward or backward, and it's very subtle. So it's not like you're leaning forward or backward. For a lot of people, it's about just sort of a subtle movement forward or a subtle movement backward, and that gives you your forward is your yes and backward is your no. All right, so let's jump in. So Allison, we'll get started with you. Tell me what's going on, or where are you struggling?
Oh goodness. Well, you had kind of asked us what we were struggling with beforehand, and I'm not even sure.
Yeah, no, it doesn't have to
you
be
know,
whatever you wrote
yeah.
down, just whatever
I
comes
know
up
I'm
right
a,
now.
I'm an old soul, and there's, who knows what's all going on. I was reading a book today about this guy who was hanging out with the pigs, and he thought it was a day. Well, it was 6 weeks. So just I thought it was a great opportunity, and I'll tell you one thing that I have been that I always struggle with, and that's prioritizing during the day.
Okay. And
Yeah.
where do you is it prioritizing business stuff, or is it prioritizing personal stuff?
I'm pretty good about the life work balance. It's more about, I just want to be creating all the time, right?
Yeah.
So getting to letting some of the other more important activities. I'm much better at it than I have been in the past, but there's always room to grow.
Grow. Okay, perfect. All right, so stand up. Let's muscle test a couple things.
Okay.
Um,
So do,
uh,
oh,
yeah, so just, you don't have to be in the camera, but just stand
okay.
up. You don't have to move the camera, or you can turn the camera off, however you want to do it. All right, so you're going to muscle test. I'm only valuable when I'm doing creative work.
I'm only
And the
valuable.
way you muscle test, just as a reminder, is you close your eyes and then you say it out loud, and then see whether you go forward or backward.
Okay. I'm only valuable when I am doing creative work. Forward.
Okay. So that's a yes. And so that really kind of answers our question, right? If you're only, it's funny because I paused. I was like, we don't normally hit it immediately like that, but yeah. So there's the belief, right? And you can sit back down. We'll just work with that one. There's the belief of, I'm only valuable if I work in creative work. So probably what's happening is that every time you want to work on other stuff, it feels like it's not even so much that it's valuable, but there's a little disconnect of you being valuable doing it. And remember, guys, this doesn't have to make logical sense. None of it does. It's more about seeing what the beliefs are and then going from there. And so how does that feel, or what's coming up for you around that?
Well, it makes complete sense because that's what I've spent most of my life only doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So why do you think that's set up that it feels like you're only valuable when you're doing creative work?
Um, I'm not really sure.
Yeah, let me just get a feel for where it comes from. Okay, interesting. I'm getting like, it could be from this lifetime or another lifetime, but I'm getting a childhood memory of you drawing and coloring and then getting a lot of really great feedback and you noticing it wasn't like it was doing you creating something. It could have been drawing or coloring. It could have been any sort of like art project that you were doing, but you got this really great feedback that you were really good at it. And you really connected it with love. Like, oh, I get more love when I'm creative, and I get like the feedback translated to love. So wait, let's muscle test. You can turn your camera off if you want to, but just muscle test. Let's muscle test one more thing.
Okay.
Is when I'm creative, I receive more love.
When I'm creative, I receive more love. I went backwards on that one.
Okay, good. Creativity is love.
Creativity is love. Okay, it's very mild forward.
Okay, yeah. And I think part of it is that you would probably word it differently. Like the more creative I am, the more love I receive.
The more creative I am, the more love I receive. Yes.
Okay, yeah. Okay, good. So there we go, right? Like there was this belief system set up for you. You can sit back down, Allison, of when you're creative, really good things happen. When you're creative, you receive love. Creativity is love, and all of that. So we're not going to clear all of that because there's an element of all of that that is true, right? And that your body wants to keep. Like creativity is love. Like it's a form of love, and so like that's a beautiful thing. There's nothing inherently wrong with having that belief, except for you, it sets up a bit of conflict between doing things that are creative and working on your work versus running the business and doing other stuff. And it's not like you don't do the other stuff. It's just that there's always a feeling of like, there's a struggle to prioritize it. There's a struggle to like make sure I'm doing it versus just naturally gravitating towards it like you do the creative stuff.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and we're just going to do some healings and downloads. So we're going to go ahead and heal and clear. So we're going to send forgiveness to you as a child. But you know, let me ask you before: is that a memory that you have, or is that like
that happened a lot? It happened with math too.
Oh, interesting.
Believe it or not. Yeah,
okay.
Right brain, left brain. But I just happen to love being creative. I don't happen to love math.
Okay, so okay, good. So it happened a lot. Okay, very good. So I just want to make sure because I didn't check in with you before I started doing the healing. But yeah, so let's go ahead and so we're gonna. It's interesting because no one in your. I'm just tapping in that when this happened, no one in your world wanted you to misunderstand it. Do you know what I mean? Like they weren't purposely like being like, Allison, the way that we love you is when you're creative. It was more just like they loved you and they were giving you compliments, and you, little Allison, constructed things very differently because you wanted, you know, when we're little, we just want attention, you know, like we just want, and however we get attention is how we perceive love to be. And so it's one of the reasons why, like, there are some adults who want negative attention because they got negative attention when they were kids and they perceive that to be love, right? So it's really interesting. It's one of the things that happens. So as little Allison was like, oh, I'm valuable when I'm creating and I happen to like this. So when I do, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it forever because when if I do it forever, I'm always going to be loved and it is going to be love for me. I love it. It loves me. When I do it, I receive love. It's an all around happy thing. So it's one of the reasons you also created, like went into creative pursuits, have a creative business, like it's a big part of you. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep all of the beautiful stuff about this. So we're going to keep how masterful you are as a creator and how excellent you are with your creativity and in your zone of genius. We're also going to keep the belief that that creativity is an expression of love, because that makes you different. It's part of who you are. Like when you create things for people, it's an expression of you caring about them, and that shows up in your work and it shows up in your being. So we're going to definitely keep all of that. But what we're going to let go of is we're going to let go of I'm only valuable when I'm creative. And we're also going to give you creator's definition of creativity, because what I'm getting is creativity is in a million different ways, right? Like, and so you just need to expand your definition of it, right? So you can be creative when you're, you know, doing your admin work. You can be creative when you're organizing your database. Like, but we're just going to give you the whole spectrum of creativity so that you don't feel like this is creative and that's not creative, so that you can be creative in everything that you're doing and use your gifts in every way, so that you don't have to feel like you have to choose all the time between like what is classically creative and what is not, you know, other priorities and other things. We're also just going to download that we're just going to, I mean, we need some buffering up for you around beliefs of like, I'm good at business. I'm good at things outside of working on my projects and doing creative work with people. I'm really good at attracting money. I'm really good at doing sales conversations. I'm allowed and able to ask for money and look at money. I'm able to position myself, be visible, and do my marketing. And all of these activities are within my realm of creativity. And so I am valuable doing everything. I'm valuable with every action that I entail. I'm valuable as a human being, and I'm able to spread my full wings of creativity for everything that I see, everything that I do, and everything that I touch. And prioritizing the most important activities comes easy for me. I can see the priorities and I can step into them without resistance. And I know how to manage my time so that I can work on, you know, a series of projects during this time and a series of other projects during this time. And I can trust my opinions on doing that, because my value extends to everything I touch and everything I do and everything I think and everything I say. And I'm receiving value all the time from creator. So I'm not having to be valuable as much as connect in with creator and channel the value that is an infinite amount of value that already exists. So we're just going to do all of that download and that clearing for you. And actually, we're going to do it for a bunch of people on this call. I know there's more and more people joining us, but some of you struggle with this prioritization thing as well. So we're going to download this clearing and healing for everybody. For some of you, it's about creativity, but for some of you, it's like you have struggle prioritizing like numbers or business or another aspect of this. So we're just going to download for everybody that you can trust yourself and that you know what to do first, second, or third. All right, awesome. So Allison, will you stand up and we'll muscle test? I'm only valuable when I'm creative. Let's muscle test that first.
I'm only valuable when I'm creative. No.
Okay, good. So we've cleared that. And I'm allowed, let's just say I'm allowed to be valuable in whatever I do.
I'm allowed to be valuable and creative in whatever I do.
Yeah.
Forward. Yes.
Yay. Good. Okay. And then let's just test one more. I can trust myself to prioritize.
I can trust myself to prioritize. Yes.
Awesome. Yay. Good. All right. Let's move. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you so much, Monica. That was awesome.
Awesome. Good, good, good. Let's move on to Jewel. So Jewel, what are you struggling with?
I'm struggling with, I feel like sometimes I hesitate and things are moving forward, but like for example, I have this program, I set the date for it and I just decided to push the date back later.
Okay, so we need to deal with this. Jewel, stand up, because this has been an issue for you for a while in Rise, right? This is going to get in your way for almost everything that you're doing. So let's actually, hold on, let me do a reading. Huh. Okay, I'm just getting, all right, so test, I'm allowed to move forward.
I'm allowed to move forward. It's yes.
That's a yes. Okay, great. And then I'm allowed to move forward in my business.
I'm allowed to move forward in my business. A little bit, yes.
A little bit, yes. Okay, let's try one more aspect. I'm allowed to move forward in my business, even if it's sort of like I'm allowed to move forward in my business imperfectly.
I'm allowed to move forward in my business, even if it's imperfectly. I think it's a little moving backwards.
Yeah, that was definitely moving back. Okay, so this has to, so you can sit back down because I kind of would have guessed this for you, Jill, regardless. This all relates to you feeling like it needs to, you need to have your I's dotted and your T's crossed in order to move forward. And what tends to happen for you is you lose interest. This, you can tell me if this resonates, because I'm not always perfect, but it's interesting because I think what's happened is that the bar for perfection is so high that instead of working through it to get to completion around it, you often just move on to the next idea and try to launch that versus staying with the discomfort of moving through something imperfectly.
Yes.
Okay. Your screen's frozen, but that's okay. I can hear you. That's amazing that but see, what's interesting about that, Jewel, is what that's going to mean for you. It's going to set you up for having a million ideas and not really implementing any of them, because it is so a part of our jobs as entrepreneurs to be imperfect. It just is. Like just this week, I launched Facebook ads. I actually launched them. So I'm going to put people on mute. Hold on. I actually launched them probably last Saturday. From Saturday to Wednesday, I didn't make any sales. I spent about $250. Wednesday, I realized I set all the ads up wrong. Wrong, like completely wrong. They were the wrong thing. They were blah, blah, blah. I didn't catch them until Wednesday, $300 in. So I only give you that story because it's like one iota of what happens as entrepreneurs when there's this place of moving through the discomfort of wrongness that has to happen with everything that you do. And the discomfort of wrongness shows up for everybody. I'm only using wrong in air quotes because frankly, there is no right or wrong, but I'm using it as we as humans define it. We have a wrong. We all have a wrong for ourselves. And wrong can be anything from not enough people showed up to I didn't look perfectly to I didn't get the right price point, right? To I didn't, we all have our versions of what wrong looks like. And for you, I think you've got this place of like, if you don't know that it's going to succeed, then you don't want to push it through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think.
And it could be something else. Tell me if you think there's other stuff there.
It's probably, there might be some other stuff, but I'm not sure what it.
Okay, it's not coming up. Okay.
I know imperfection is a big part of it, and that's probably why I work on power. So
yeah, right. Okay, so we need to give you permission to launch with a mess, and to actually move forward through things so that you can execute to mastery versus trying to gain mastery at the beginning. Right? Nobody starts with mastery. You have to execute to mastery. So let's go ahead and I actually am just getting, Julie, you've got a strong healer wound. And what that it's not actually even a healer wound. It's like okay, so I call these tribal wounds, which is that in a past life, and even partly in this one, you were part of a family or a tribe. And even in this one, a little bit, where when you were not perfect, in the past life, pretty terrifying things happened, meaning like you were kicked out of the tribe, you lost love, and sometimes there was physical harm. In this life, it wasn't that bad, but in this life, there was still a little bit of isolation that occurred if you didn't do things the right way. But what I'm getting is that in this life, it tend to happen more with, you know, like when people get into fights and then instead of fighting it out, they just, you know, like I don't know if you all have done this with your partner, but like the worst thing you can do to your partner is go into silence. You know what I mean? Like instead of fighting it out, because that just pisses everybody off even more. I'm getting that you got some of that growing up.
I did, you're right. My mother used to
just go silent.
If she was mad, she wouldn't talk to me.
Yeah. And I think it's actually, I've read in psychology books, it's the most hurtful thing that you can do to people in a fight is just turn off. Because then there's no, you know, there's no fulfilling. Like, you know, it's one thing to say, we'll talk about this tomorrow, but it's completely another thing to just be like, just not allow a person to, and you, that for you was really painful, was it? I mean, it was really like heart-wrenching. Yeah. Okay. So what we're going to do is, what I'm getting is that, so just so you know, Jewel, when things happen in past lives and they happen in a current life, it means that you're karmically supposed to let them go in this lifetime, just so you know. It means that you're here to create a different legacy for yourself and everyone that comes after, and every lifetime after this one, assuming you have more. Just know that it's actually a really good thing. In my world, what I'm getting is that it means that you're here to clear this up. And that's one of the reasons it's so up for you right now, is you're like, I am going to launch this puppy if it is the end of me, even though you're feeling so much resistance around it. Like, because there's a desire to push through, not just for the launch, I mean, whatever, but for the act of doing it, you know, and putting it out to the world, no matter how many people join it, even if people do it for free, whatever. I'll tell you, there's something really beautiful about that. So let's clear some stuff for you to make that easier. Okay. So we're gonna heal and complete the experience of when you were, it was almost like when you were imperfect, but for you, imperfect when you were little was a little bit like speaking out of turn, you know, like when you said things that were not appreciated, or when you did little things that were not appreciated, you just like the love was turned off. That's what it felt like, and that's not a fun thing. I mean, if for any of us, if every time I was imperfect, the love got turned off, I wouldn't be trying anything either. You know, like it's a really hard thing to carry. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to resolve and complete those experiences from when you were little. We're going to resolve and complete them from when you were in your past lives as well. We're going to send forgiveness to your mom and to every other family member that was around you. We're going to send understanding, because what I'm getting in all of the experiences is that there was no malicious intent. It was just more like interpretation and sort of, you know, the blender of the interpretation and the blender of the experience. Although you've had past lives where it was more malicious. So there is some remnants. So we're actually going to call back all of your soul fragments, because there's some holes. So I'm just going to watch all your soul fragments come back in. We're also going to call back in your soul family, because there's a little bit of walking away from your soul family because you felt alone and betrayed. So we're going to call back in people who you chose to walk with in this lifetime and every lifetime to start showing up in your life again and supporting you and loving you. And we're also going to clear and release all of the memories of I have to be perfect or I lose love. We're going to send understanding to the ones when you were little, and we're going to download you're already perfect. And that launching and not launching and doing and not doing, that's all timing, and it's all divine timing. And there's no right and there's no wrong. So you don't have to, like, we're going to get you to a soul place that's above this, that's above the need for perfection, and instead is in alignment with timing of what is. I launch when I want to launch. It has nothing to do with is it right or wrong, or will I know or not control? It's just putting something out into the world from a pure place of love. You're going to connect in with that place of love and be able to put things out into the world without worrying so much about what are they going to do or how are they going to show up, because you're going to give that responsibility back to Creator. You're no longer going to feel responsible for the outcome that it has or the effect that it has on people. And you know that you are loved no matter what. So no matter what outcome happens through these experiences and the kind of people you attract, you will always have love, and you don't have to worry about betrayal or isolation or rejection or judgment in any way anymore. And in fact, we're going to strengthen your inner being, like the pillar of light that lives within you, so that whenever anybody says anything to you, you can actually bring up compassion for them. And it does not have to interfere with your way of being or your way of thinking. And we're going to do this for everybody on the call, because every single one of you has asked for it on a soul level, because we all need to strengthen our inner pillar, right? Especially as we're people that are showing up live more and more and more. So we're going to download that for everybody. All right. Awesome. Merlin's incredibly pleased with that healing. All right. So Merlin's my cat, guys, in case you don't know. He's my wizard cat. He's my partner in crime. So Jewel, will you stand up?
Sure.
And let's, what are we muscle testing? I think we just need to test. I'm allowed to move forward imperfectly.
I'm allowed to move forward imperfectly. Yes.
Okay, great. And then let's just do like, yeah, I think that works, but there's some other deeper piece too, which is let's just also test, I'm allowed to move forward whenever I want to.
I'm allowed to move forward whenever I want to. I think it's moving forward.
Yeah, it is. It's moving forward. Yeah. Awesome. Good. All right. That'll help with some of this conflict that's coming up for you. Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Good. Jewel and Allison, for those of you that are on the call, are both part of our Rise Business Academy. So I do know a little bit about their situations. But let's go. So they were the ones on tap for today. Let me go in and get a couple more of you. I'd love to do Miss. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but I'm unmuting you.
Oh, okay. Hi. Yeah, it's Mse.
Wait, say it again.
Mse.
Misse.
Sure.
Okay. Misse, is that right?
Mse.
Mse. Okay,
Yeah.
Good. I want to get your name right. That's important.
It's fine.
All right. Welcome. It's great to meet you.
Thank you for having me.
And tell me about what you're struggling with.
I'm struggling with something that's sort of ongoing. It was happening before all of the COVID stuff happened, which is that even though I have what I consider a vocation, which is a business serving children as a music teacher and also serving teachers as a trainer of music teachers, I have never in all the years I've done the business been able to have enough income from the business to have a decent living, to make a decent living. And so I made the decision to be more responsible over the past year and a half and to go for regular jobs, apply for regular jobs to support myself.
Okay.
I'm also in graduate school, but not funded, self-funded. So
okay. So we've got a money belief here.
Yeah, somehow.
And I mean, it's definitely, yeah. So just you can stand up, and you guys, when you stand up, feel free to turn your computer off if you want, or, just either way. Cause I know it's hard to stand up on screen. Totally okay with me either way. We're going to just muscle test. Why don't we muscle test? We just need to test the basics. I'm allowed to make money.
I'm allowed to make money. I guess it's forward, but my feet.
Okay, wait. Before we go into this, let's calibrate. So just go ahead and say your name, and then see if you go forward or backward. My name is.
My name is Nsin. I'm just standing here.
Okay, so hold on. We need to just download that you're allowed to receive a healing, because your body's a little bit like, what? All right. What's she doing? Okay, got it. So now let's try my name is, and tell me if you go forward or backward.
Okay. My name is, let me see. It's like I didn't move a lot, but it was sort of toward the front.
Yeah, it was definitely forward. So that's your yes, right? It's just good for you to know. It's super subtle for you. Totally okay. And then let's do a no. My name is Paul.
My name is Paul. It feels like my spine kind of bows like that. So it's not I'm moving back. It's like I'm crunching in.
Okay. It doesn't really matter how the no happens, but it as long as you know it as a no, right? Because the body will respond in different ways. Everybody's body responds in different ways. But so we'll play with it, and I have a feeling it'll shift throughout the healing. But as long as you understand your yeses and nos, we're all good. So I want you to just test. I'm allowed to have money.
I'm allowed to have money. It's forward.
Good. That's great. I'm allowed to keep money.
I'm allowed to keep money. I think that was backward.
That was backward. Yeah, that was a no. Okay. Interesting. You're allowed to make it, but you're not allowed to keep it, which makes sense from what you're saying. Let's test. I'm allowed to ask for money. And if you are watching this, by the way, and you want to muscle test this stuff with me, feel free to do that. Because when I do the downloads, I do them for everybody. So I often will clear everybody at the same time. So go ahead with, did you do your, I'm allowed to ask for money?
That was what was coming next. That was you were in the middle of
it. Yeah. Okay, good. I'm allowed to ask for money.
I'm allowed to ask for money. I moved backward a little bit.
Okay, that was a back. Okay, so here's what I'm getting. You can sit back down, right? This is what happens to a lot of people. Like at my Master Your Money event, this is one of the first things, not one of the first, but one of the things we do on day one, because I've learned over time that depending on our ancestry and cultural heritage, there's a lot of people I work with that don't have basic permissions on money. Like, meaning like you're not allowed to have it, or you're not allowed to keep it, or you're not allowed to accumulate it, or you're not allowed to ask for it. And it's interesting because if you don't have the basic permissions, you work your little tail off and it doesn't matter, because your body will figure out ways to get aligned with what you have permission for. And so I knew when you said it's always been an issue for me, I'm like, she's got some basic permission thing that's going on. And there's something about, I'm not allowed to keep it. And what I'm getting is that it comes from an ancestral, it comes from a family line. So of ancestors that weren't allowed to keep it. But what I'm also getting is that there were past, a little bit in this life too. It's funny, a lot of you today have current and past life stuff going on. A little bit in this life, but also a lot in your past lives. You were in a family unit that had to hide your money. So even if you made it, like you had to get rid of it. Because it couldn't be seen for whatever reason. Like if somebody like raided your house and they found value, it wasn't money at that point. So valuables, whatever those were, because at that point in these lives, it wasn't money, it was like grain and other things that signified money. If they found that stuff, you would have been hurt in a pretty major way. And so there was a pact made on everybody's front for this sort of tribal unit that you were a part of, that you just would never keep your money, that you would always use it. Like you would make it and you could ask for it, but you would always use it on other things. Like as soon as it came in, it would go out, and you didn't mind it at that point because there was enough of you around that you could all take care of each other.
Yes, that sounds right.
But now it's become a problem because you don't live in that unit anymore. You have to take care of you now, and you're like, okay, this isn't working. Like this whole thing isn't working the way it was before when we were all taking care of each other, and so we could then really like let go of all of the money. How is this resonating?
It's resonating really strongly. I'm feeling like it's a true story.
Okay, great. So what we're gonna do is, and this is often things I do, is it's interesting because whatever tribal units we came from, whatever we bring into this life, it often creates something that we're really good at. So my guess is that you're a really good giver, meaning like giver of knowledge, giver of wisdom, giver of services. And so it helped to create some of your strongest suits. Is that true?
Sometimes I ignore that that's true, but during this crisis, I've been getting in touch with a lot of people who've been telling me those things that you just said. So yes.
And reminding you of them. Yeah. And probably leaning in on you a bit for them as well. So, which is great. So we're going to keep all of that because that's part of who you are. But what we're going to do is we're just going to resolve and we're going to upgrade into the 20th century what your gift is, right? So in this century, and not even in this century, in this year, in this decade, we need to be able to keep money. And we need to be able to take care of ourselves and take care of others. And in fact, if you had more than enough money, would be taking care of a lot of other people. As well. Like you have a nature of like, yeah, I would totally take care of family unit, extended family units and whatnot if I had that. And so we're just going to give you permission to, first of all, step into that giving nature and really own it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to resolve and complete the contract that you're not allowed to keep money. Okay. But we're going to magnify the experiences that are really powerful about that tribal units. We're going to magnify and keep the love and connection to family unit, the love and connection to friends, the ability to give, the generosity that came from all of that. But we're going to clear and release this rule that you can't keep money. And instead we're going to download that you have the ability to make an infinite amount of money. You're really good at making money. And that is actually true. You are really good at making money. Your cells are. It's just that you had to hide it for a lot of time. So now you've just forgotten it. So we're just going to remind you again that you're really good at making money. You're great at asking for it. You're allowed to ask for it. You're allowed to save it. You're allowed to keep it. And you're allowed to keep and save as much of it as you want, an infinite amount, more than you need, beyond what you ever dreamed of, so that you can actually use that money to do all of the beautiful, bigger things that you want to do in the world, because you have a lot of vision for what you want to create and what you want to put out there. So we're going to start first, but we're also going to give you permission to start first with you. Like for you to keep the money, for you, for your home, for your family, for your friends, for your whatever your immediate needs are, and then to be able to expand out for that. So we're going to download all of that for you, and I'm just going to go up to Creator, and I'm going to do it for everyone on the call as well. I'm getting that a couple of you, Bernadette, you need this one. Allison, I don't know if you're on the call still, but you need this one too. And so I'm just downloading it for everybody. Okay, good. How are you feeling?
A little emotional. Just my heart is really, okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Totally natural and normal. When I hit things, like emotion just comes out, and it just means it's cathartic, and it'll keep coming out. It's okay. It's actually good, really good. Most of the time, we want to be super emotional, and then you're going to get super tired. And then you're going to sleep, and it's going to be a really awesome sleep. And so that's like par for the course. And then when you wake up, the deeper the healing, the less you remember about it. So like I've had experiences where I've woken up and couldn't remember anything, but I felt very, very different. And so just know that's a part of it. Let's go ahead and re-muscle test to make sure we've got it. So stand back up and re-muscle test. I'm allowed to keep money.
I'm allowed to keep money. It's like a little bit forward, not strongly,
Okay, well, I mean, we can, as long as it's forward, we're good, because your forward before wasn't very strong either.
Okay. Yeah, that's
like
true.
When we tested your name, I think you just have subtle movements. And frankly, if you did more healing work, those movements would become less subtle. Part of what's going on is this is new to you. And so your body's a little bit like, I'm going to cooperate, but I'm not sure about this. And my body used to be like that too. In fact, so just know over time, it gets a little easier when you start really getting that the stuff is making a difference.
Okay.
Awesome. Great. Yay.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Monica.
Of course. All right, let's keep going. Bernadette, where are you?
I'm here.
Okay. You're off mute. Good.
Yeah.
Can you turn your camera on? Or are you not in a place you can do that?
No, I can.
Okay, there you are. Hi.
Hi.
Awesome. So what are you struggling with?
I'm just I know that we talked on one of the other calls about like the resistance, like don't allow that resistance to happen. And I am still having a lot of resistance on sending out that first initial sales email with my pricing in it right now. And
Okay.
I'm like, it's been a struggle bus for me all week this week, sending out that first sales email to new potential clients with pricing in it.
Okay, so let me just business coach for a moment. You're sending out an email with pricing in it to people who haven't hired you yet?
Well, we've already had the pricing conversation and now I'm putting it in writing with the
Like
pricing
you've had
for
a
the individual.
and then you're sending them like the PDF document with the listing on it or whatever.
Yes.
Okay, great. I get it. Okay, so you're standing. Can you muscle test?
Yeah.
Close your eyes. Okay, I'm just going to go for, I'm allowed to be visible.
I'm allowed to be visible. That's a yes.
Okay, I'm allowed to be visible in my own business.
I'm allowed to be visible in my own business. That was weird. It started no, and then it leaned me really forward.
Okay, let's try that one more time.
Okay.
I'm allowed to be visible in my own. And are you holding your phone?
Yeah. Should I put it down
just
somewhere?
put it down for a minute because
Okay.
it'll screw with things.
All right, hold on. You're going to have to look at the sky for a little bit.
Yeah,
then.
it's totally okay. No worries. This whole standing thing is not great for the whole camera thing. I get that. I should probably tell all you that before you come on, but then anyway, don't worry about it. Just a muscle test. I'm allowed to be visible in my business.
I'm allowed to be visible in my business. Oh, that's a no.
Okay. What's interesting, Bernadette, is we often teach what we're right away, as soon as you started talking, I was like, this is a permission to be visible because you're about to close a sale, right? So sending them that paperwork leads to the closing conversation, right? That second conversation of okay. And what's interesting is the fact that do you quote the prices on the phone before you send the paper?
Yes.
Okay. So what's interesting is like, as soon as you get that client, you step into a higher level of visibility. And so in your world, there are some forms of visibility that you're allowed to do. And we could further test this, but I can just tell you what they are. Like you're allowed to be visible in front of strangers, which is interesting because it's the opposite for a lot of us. You have it the other way around, which is that you're kind of okay in front of people you don't know that well or in front of crowds or audiences. But when it comes to visibility of like, I have to do something for someone and I can step into success with someone and I could really like make an impact with someone, that you're not allowed to do. And so I'm getting that so first of all, how does that resonate?
It feels good. It's true. I'm good in a room.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, so it's funny, guys, because I often have to slow myself down to ask you questions. And so I try to remember to do that. The second piece is, okay, where did this come from? Oh, well, this isn't surprising. It's, so I'm just getting that in most of your past lives, you were somebody that had pretty exceptional healing gifts for people. And that it's one of the reasons you're so good now in this life of knowing what to say in most situations to ease the situation and to ease people around you and even on the sales calls. It's one of your gifts. And it actually relates to a certain amount of telepathy, just so you know, in case you want to develop this, of being able to hear what's being said before they say it. And whether you consciously realize it or not, start playing with it. Because my guess is you could get pretty good at it because you already have the natural ability for it. And then it's one of the reasons you're also probably pretty good at hearing what people need before they need it, and which is going to make you delightful as a person to work with, like as a service provider. So take comfort in that. But what I'm getting is that in other lives, when you really came forth with that, people got a little freaked out by it. And even in this lifetime, there have been moments where you did stuff that preempted what was before you're supposed to know. And then people were very threatened by that and threatened by you. And so you toned it down quite a bit. And you especially toned it down because you made a promise in those past lifetimes that you weren't going to stand out. Like you were going to try to play under the radar with these gifts as much as you could. And so now with this business and the fact that you're about to close a sale, and that as work with your clients, you're going to have to tap into some of your own superpowers, because that's what that is what is called upon when you create a relationship with someone, that you're helping, as you're calling upon your superpowers, and then you're calling forth their superpowers so that you guys can connect and create brilliance together. But that is and you're really naturally good at that, but you made a pact that you weren't going to do it. So I can imagine why you've got your foot on the brake when it comes to getting to the final phases with people. Like that final yes with people, you're pretty good at initiating and opening, but when it gets to that final piece of like, let's seal this and, exchange credit cards and start working together, it's a little frightening. And even working together is a little frightening for you. There's still a little amount of fear when you're working with clients, because there's this feeling of like, what if they discover something? Like, what if I show too much? So what we're going to do is we're going to resolve and complete that. Is that okay if we resolve and complete that? Yeah. Okay. And so we're just going to resolve. See, you're carrying still the memory of what it was like to be picked on both in the past lifetimes and in the current lifetime. And so we are going to just go ahead and clear and release those memories. And we're going to send forgiveness and healing and recognition and understanding to both the experiences that happened in the past life and the ones that happened in this one. Did it happen at your last job? Because some of them happened recently.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely been like the last two real positions that I had where I was working for someone else. Like there were a couple of things that I was like talking about, and they were like, yeah, no, you got to go. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That combined with the fact that they just were, so it's good. Essentially, there's still, so what we're going to do is just going to release both of those experiences. We're going to release the past life experiences, let them go to creator, and we're going to download, I'm allowed to be seen. My gifts are safe. I'm allowed to be really good and masterful. I'm allowed to use my gifts. And this is true for everybody. Jewel, this is good for you as well. And Marcy, for you as well. Mary Kerwin, this one is good for you too. That you don't have to hide anymore. And that you're allowed to stand out. You're allowed to be, I'm just going to use a metaphor here, like the tallest flower in a field that everybody sees. And you're allowed to use your gifts openly. As an excellent healer, an excellent creator, an excellent service provider, an excellent coach, an excellent speaker, and especially an excellent guide and mentor as you grow your business. So we're just going to download all of that. Okay. How are you feeling?
Good. Like a warm hug just kind of happened.
Awesome. So will you stand up and we're going to muscle test?
Now you get to look at my ceiling.
I'm allowed to be visible in my business.
I'm allowed to be visible in my business. That was a yes.
Okay, good. That'll help with sending that final paperwork to them as well.
Okay.
And I would sleep on it and do it tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Good.
Thanks.
Yay. All right. Let me just see who's next. Marcy. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I didn't even say, but I'll do one.
Do you want, yeah, if you don't want, if you're just
No,
here for, you don't have to go at all.
I'm trying to absorb. I need some. Yeah, I'm just having trouble with focus, like getting stuff done, specifically writing articles and doing, like moving my social stuff forward.
And
so it's
is
just
it a particular group of items? Is it because you keep getting distracted by specific things, or is it like there's fear involved on stuff that is new to you?
Yeah, both.
Okay.
It's challenging to be focused when you're, in this situation. It feels like I'm moving through mud sometimes, but it's also, just fear, just putting myself out there and being seen. That definitely hit for me. And then just being able to complete the work, it's completion, moving things to completion.
Okay. All right, let's muscle test. So stand up and let's test. Let's just do a basic permission. I'm allowed to finish what I start.
I'm allowed to finish what I start. No.
No. That makes sense, Marcy. I mean, It just makes sense based on what you struggle with, is that you didn't have the basic permission to finish what you start. And so we're just going to work on that. Why do you think you don't have permission? Like, what comes up for you?
I'm worried that it's not enough, or that I'm in the wrong direction.
Part of it. Will you stand back up one more time? I'm sorry.
Sure.
There's one other belief I want to test.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm allowed to be great.
I'm allowed to be what?
Great.
Oh, I'm allowed to be great. Yeah, no movement at all.
No movement, yeah.
None.
And your body doesn't love great, so let's use another adjective. I'm allowed to be, it's like your body wants something around. I'm allowed to be openly awesome. Let's try that.
Yeah. I'm allowed to be openly awesome. It's a little no.
Yeah. So what I'm getting, Marcy, is that there's sort of a program running underneath, which is like, I'm not allowed to finish things because I'm not allowed to stand out. I'm not allowed to be great. Like, I have to be back of the show, back of the house. And so therefore, if I were to finish something and make it excellent and have some success around it, that would take me to the front of the house and the front of the stage. And that's not okay. And I'm getting that is the role you play in your family. And I'm getting that it is a role that you've played in a lot of situations, like in jobs and even in organizations, et cetera. And so what's interesting about it is there's no negative, right? Like, it's not a bad thing. A lot of people make that choice their whole lives. And but for you, I'm just sensing you want to make a different choice right now, though. Like, you're ready.
Being in the front.
Yeah.
But it's always a struggle. It's always scary. It's always, but I love it. So
okay. So and there's a difference. There's a difference between the fear of like excitement and not doing something. But for you, there's also just a little bit of fear of like something horrible is going to happen. Like, I'm somehow abdicating some role that I'm supposed to have at the back by being in the front. And so if I do this, I'm going to get my hand slapped. It's, in some way. And so therefore it's even more than just your normal fear, it's, and it's also how you self-sabotage, right? Because if you don't complete something, you're never going to be in the front, right? If you don't complete the proposal, you're not going to get the business. If you don't follow through on the phone call, they're going to forget about you. And so there's this sabotage that's also coming into play that keeps you from being front and center, and getting that attention. So what we're going to do is we're just going to clear the belief of I have to be in the back, and I have to be, for lack of, the word that's coming through is like, I have to be a servant. And I say that with respect to, because it's has connotations, that word does, but it is what's coming up. And so we're going to do, in that sort of mentality, I'm getting that is like past life stuff. It's also ancestor stuff that you came into this world with. And so what we're going to do, and there's some really beautiful things that have come with that, right? So like, there's always the goodness, like you're a great caretaker. You're a great organizer. You are a great supporter. And you handle details and production really well. And so that could be producing details of a house. It could be like an event. It could be like a job. Like, how to organize and orchestrate. It's interesting though, because you haven't allowed yourself to do it for you, because you weren't allowed. Like, that wasn't part of the bargain. You could do it for everyone else, but you can't do it for you. You can't be center. And so we're just gonna, is it okay if we resolve and complete that identity?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So your body's a little freaking out. So I'm just gonna first give you a healing of like, because this is a lot. This is a big identity piece. So we're just gonna give you a healing of like gentle love and a golden rush of energy. Okay, good. Good. Now the body's calming down. And we're going to do this for everyone because we've been at this for a while. So we're going to give everybody some golden light of energy and some rush of love and joy. Okay. Okay, so back to you. We're going to resolve and complete. We're just going to resolve and complete your role as a servant. Like, it's just not, we're just going to let that go. And we're going to send love and healing to every time you were that in a past lifetime, and every time you serve that role in this lifetime. And we're going to bring forth and magnify all the beautiful gifts that you learned from it. Your ability to organize and support and nurture and take care of and bear the burden of and take responsibility for and love and care for others. We're going to take those forward and magnify them by like, 10 and 100-fold, so that you have them and you can keep them, but you no longer have to be a servant in them. And in fact, you're completely now allowed to finish what you start. You're allowed to have mastery and excellence and success as a result of it. You're allowed to be in the front of the room, at the front of the stage, to be seen in a powerful way with your success. You're allowed to be a leader. It is possible for you to be a leader. It is possible for you to be more successful than everyone in the room, because there's a little fear around that. Whatever room you're in, whether it's at home or whether it's in a group, you're allowed to step in. And the other thing we're just going to release is we're going to release the fear of like, when I'm successful, I'll lose my place. And I'll say, I'll become like a bad person, or I'll say mean things, or I'll like lose my mind or lose my head. We're just going to release all of those worries and instead download that you're just going to become a better caretaker, nurturer, person, human being, woman, mom, business owner, with the more success that you have and the more visible that you are. We're just going to download all of that for you. And we're also just going to give you permission to stand out and to be in the front. And also permission to make large amounts of money, because we got to put the money piece in there as well. Yeah. And to make more money than everyone in the room, whatever room you're in. Yeah. Okay. And we're just going to remind you that you have the ability to be successful and make a lot of money and have a lot of, gifts that come to you. You have the ability to do that and make other people feel really comfortable at the same time. So you don't have to upset people. There, like, I just want to, that already, but I want to remind you of that. Like, it will not be an upset. In fact, you will raise the entire bar for everyone around you by you being more successful. It will be an inspiration to them. It will be a model that they want to follow. It will be great. It will, so just reminding you of that as well. I'm just going to download all of that. And I'm going to download that for everyone on the call as well. I mean, there's a lot of versions of that for everybody that's on the call. All right, so go ahead and stand up. And let's muscle test our basic one, which is, what is our, now I've even forgotten what our basic one is. I'm allowed to be successful.
I'm allowed to be successful.
Openly successful, that's what it was.
I'm allowed to be openly successful. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Good, yeah.
Yeah.
That should help with finishing, some of the stuff that you're not finishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
I feel very emotional.
Yeah. Yeah. When we hit some identity stuff, it comes up for sure. It depends on the healing. You guys, all of them are different. Like sometimes, you're crying your eyes out because you suddenly, like, your whole life rushes before you and you're like, oh, that's lovely. And then sometimes you're laughing because it's just a release, of some sort. And then sometimes it's so deep that you don't hear anything I'm saying. Like you can't remember a word I have said to you after. And that's because it literally will, in some cases, the healings will bypass your conscious mind in order to go into your subconscious. So, and that, and it's a way, like I've had a lot of clients like fall asleep, like literally close their eyes. And I'm like, oh, the subconscious really wants the conscious mind to get the hell out of the way. And so I'll do the entire healing for them sleeping so that it can go into their subconscious mind. And they won't remember any of it, but then it'll feel different. They'll remember like the problem, but they won't remember anything we did about the problem other than the fact that the problem is not as heightened as it was or not there at all. So awesome. Good.
Thank you.
All right, so I will do one more and then we'll call it for today, and know that a couple things before we do that last person. A couple things. Number one, if you would like more time to do this with me one-on-one, I do one-on-one healing sessions. They are $595 per session, and you can email support@revenuebreakthrough.com, and Liz, my client manager, will work that out with you. Number two, you're going to see this coming up. I'm doing something in May. It's probably going to be May 14th or 15th, around that time, called the Bold Visibility Bootcamp. Everyone on this call is still working on visibility issues, underlying fears around it. So Bold Visibility Bootcamp, literally half the day, we're going to spend on uncovering fears and clearing them. And then the other half the day, you're going to do some videos. So it's going to be a really fun day. Look for that. It's not out yet, but look for that because I think it'd be great for all of you to be involved in as well. So to help with some of this, so clearing some of the fear and the anxiety around any of this. And for those of you that want business support, know that I'm available for that as well. We have some shorter programs right now to just help people get through the quarantine period and figure out what's next. If you want to work one-on-one with me for that, the fear around money is getting worse for everybody. And because as we get closer to May, June, and July, you either build new business or you run out of savings. That's really what's happening right now. And so if you're finding that you need extra support to help you build new business, get it now before you get to the end of your bank account. Because I literally was on Facebook today and literally saw it pop up by like 12 different people who posted about, oh my God, I was fine. And then I had this breakdown. And it was all about looking in your bank accounts. And realizing, oh man, I have to act now. This isn't going anywhere. So I want you guys, whether you hire me or whether you go hire someone else or whether you just go take action, I don't really care. I just want, as a message to bring forth to you all, take action now. Do not wait till June, July, or August when you're down to your last $250 to suddenly get desperate, because that is coming. And the PPP grants and the EIDL loans, only 20% of the people that applied are getting them. We didn't get anything over here. And so just know, don't depend on those sources as well. And if you're thinking you're going to do unemployment, there is word out that they're paying more now per week, but that's going to run out too. So it's about your businesses, people, right? This is the test right now, is like, make it happen yourself, because it is very possible for you to make that happen. All right, good. Now I'll get off my little soapbox and we'll do our last healing. Let's go ahead and do Jan. Jan, I don't see your camera, but I'm assuming we can do it over phone for you. And you can tell me if you don't want a healing, if you're just here to witness. Jan? Okay, maybe she's not there yet. Let me just unmute her. Jan, did you want a healing?
I can. A lot of it, I see pieces of myself in everyone that you've done so far.
Okay, cool. So so I'm happy to move on if you just tell me what you want.
I think probably one issue is that I self-sabotage.
Okay.
I will go along and be doing really well and something happens and it's just kind of like everything falls apart and I have to start over again.
Okay, so give me an example of the last time this happened.
Well, we had a grant program working for the business and something happened with one of the people, so we lost that grant and I had to let half of my people go. So it's the same kind of thing. It seems like everything I do, something falls apart.
Okay. All right, let's muscle test some basics. You stand up. Let's muscle test. I mean, let's muscle test. I'm allowed to keep money.
I'm allowed to keep money. Yes.
Good. I'm allowed to keep, there's something about, let me just get it right. When good things happen, it's like, when a good thing happens, a bad thing has to follow it. Just muscle test that.
When good things happen, a bad thing has to follow it. Yes.
Okay. So this is actually a society belief. Do you guys remember when we were little? I don't know if you played this game, but I did, where it was like, if 3 good things happened, I would count them when I was little, and then I would expect the bad thing to happen. Or if you had a really good day on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you would go to school on Thursday and be like, something bad has to happen today. If you know, a lot of us grew up with that sort of community belief. It's a society. It's one of those beliefs that hang in the air, is that we can't have an unlimited amount of joy. We always have to, and for some of us, for you, Jan, it's like, yours is like a mathematical thing. Like, it's very precise. Like, if 2 good things happen, 1 bad thing has to happen, to the point where you manifest it to make it true. And also for you, I'm getting that, oh, there's one more belief that came and it went. Okay, we're just going to stay, it left, it'll come back. So Jan, what do you think about that? How's that resonating?
Not consciously, I hadn't really thought about it that way, but I can see where that's kind of how it's working.
Okay. And did you ever have that, like, was that belief conscious when you were little?
I don't think so.
Okay. Interesting.
I don't remember it anyway.
Are you religious?
Sort of spiritual.
Sort of spiritual. Okay. The reason I was asking is because it's a very strong Christian belief as well. So I wasn't sure if maybe you picked it up in church.
That's possible.
Because it's a very strong belief of like, you're only allowed to have so much joy, you know what I mean? Because there's guilt associated with it. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to give you permission what I'm getting is that I don't get like a specific time in which this came from, as much as you just picked it up from the people around you and from your family and from your community. And it was not conscious. I mean, I don't even know that your community, like, my guess is that if I tested everyone in your family, they would all have this belief. But they're not conscious of it. So what we're going to do is just clear and release it and give you permission to be different. So we're going to download, I'm allowed to be different. I'm allowed to have unlimited amount of joy. I'm allowed to have an unlimited amount of good things happen in my life. We're going to resolve and complete the belief of there has to be a mathematical equation of like 2 things that happen that are good and then a bad thing, or any sort of mathematical equation, like 3 good things and 1 bad, like any combination thereof. And we're going to instead download for you, there is a universal law, and there's a universal law of momentum. And that universal law of momentum says, good follows good, God follows good, good follows good, follows good, right? And that actually you can have a momentum of unlimited joy, especially because we're also just going to give you Creator's definition of quote unquote good and bad, so that you can start to see everything from the perspective of joy, and you can start to respond differently to it. So we're going to just download all of that for you. Yeah, and I'm getting the most important belief for you is I can have an unlimited amount of joy. Without
Get a strong yes.
Yeah. Okay, good. So let's muscle test. Bad things have to follow good things.
No.
Good. I can have an unlimited amount of joy.
I can have an unlimited amount of joy. Yes.
I can have, let's muscle test. I don't need to self-sabotage.
I don't need to self-sabotage. It kind of kicked a little, but then it went to yes.
Yeah, it's fine. It's, it's a new belief that we just replaced. I'm also just going to encourage you, so we've cleared the belief, but also understand, Jan, that a lot of what I'm getting is a lot of the things that you think were self-sabotage were not. They were actually just twists and turns in your life that happened for real reasons, but you saw them as such. So now that we've cleared this sort of vision, this view, it will be easier for you to be able to look back and say, and to even move forward without feeling like things are self-sabotage, and instead being able to respond to them in a different way.
And I guess that's too because it always moved me to change direction.
Yeah. They were, what I'm getting is that there were what I like to call piano drops, right? Like in my life, I'm pretty stubborn. And so I don't actually shift very quickly unless there's a piano drop in my way. And I've had lots of piano drops at various points in my life, now being one of them. And so what I'm getting is that a lot of the things that you perceived as like, maybe I caused this, were actually you created this.
Okay.
So it's okay. Like, you don't need to like analyze it all now. I'm just suggesting that you allow that drip in as you have more and more realization of it.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you.
Good. All right. So with that, I do one of these every month. So definitely come back for the next one in May. And if you didn't get to go on this one and you really want to go on the one in May, just email Liz at support@, and Liz is really good. Like, she will get you on that list and she will be like, Monica, you have to work with this person because she has been waiting. So email her at support@revenuebreakthrough.com. And as always, I send you all so much love and healing. Have an amazing evening. It feels like a Friday to me, but I think it's not. I think it's Wednesday. So enjoy the rest of your week, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye, guys.